And we just so everyone knows, we are just recording this for people who have signed up but couldn't make it. It's like something we always do at Terra, so that people on different time zones can join in. Oh, cool. Food systems innovation. That's amazing. All right. Should we get started?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. So welcome everyone to this Ask Us Anything for our upcoming class called Circular Economy, Principles and Applications, and the very long subtitle, which I'll let you read on the screen. This class is a part of kind of subclass to Terra Do, which has a bunch of classes, but their core class is a Learning for Climate Action school, which helps professionals figure out how to kind of change or pivot their careers into having a positive impact on climate change. Giannis, do you want to click the next slide? So a couple of things we'll cover today, just in general, who we are, how the course works, potential outcomes of the course, and Giannis is going to take you through some sample content. So we'll cover why now for the circular economy, some of the challenges, as well as some of the potentials for the circular economy. And yeah, so a little bit about us. Giannis, I guess I'll go first and I'll hand it over to you. I'm Austin Everts. I'm a former marketing technology entrepreneur. I spent about 10 years in that space, in the marketing tech and ad tech space, where I scaled eventually sold a startup. I currently work at the Urban Future Lab, which is New York City's longest running climate tech focused incubator, where I support climate tech and circular economy focused startups. I'm also the co-president of the New York Techstars chapter, so engaged in just the general broader startup ecosystem here in New York. And yeah, I get really excited about areas where innovation can have a positive impact on the world. And that is initially what drew me to the circular economy several years ago. Giannis?
Yeah, I'm Giannis. I'm a product designer by trade, and I run a circular product design studio, and I have a heavy focus on material research. So I work with companies and research labs and brands on looking at their waste streams or byproducts and figuring out what to do with those, or how to redesign a product and make it into a circular product. So how to prepare a product in its design to be reused and then recycled over and over and over again into that same product. I also work with community groups like Precious Plastic, which is a global community that recycles plastic in local workspaces. And I think I came to Terra because I wanted to learn a bit more about climate change, and I'm really driven by the role that the circular economy can play in climate change mitigation. And I'm convinced that we can't have climate change mitigation without the circular economy. So that's why we built this course together.
Great. So yeah, high level, I guess, just how the class works. If you're not familiar, this is a cohort-based learning course. So you're learning alongside peers or people who are also interested in the same topic. It's a 6-week online fellowship. The learning content is kind of static, asymmetrical content. So you can go through it at your own pace, although it's released weekly. We have live interaction with experts. So we're bringing in, who will discuss here, a lot of kind of thought leaders in the space of circular economy. So they'll do a guest talk, sometimes a panel, a workshop, and there's always time for Q&A with the students. The cohort-based learning piece I mentioned is actually my favorite piece. It was the biggest benefit I got out of learning for climate action, but you're learning with your peers, and all sorts of kind of fun professional and business related things might come out of that. And then finally, we have tangible outcomes. So there's, at the end, you're gonna have your personal circular toolbox and action plan. Giannis, any list on that?
No, I'll just expand a little bit on the last one. So the circular economy is something that's been around for a while already, but it's still something that's kind of like in the making. So there are a lot of tools and guides and stuff out there, and they are very scattered. And what we will help you with throughout this course, throughout these 6 weeks, is actually to gather the right ones that are working for your context. Because I think everyone needs kind of different ones, but they all already exist. So we will introduce a bunch of tools to you, and you kind of put together the ones that can help you start working within your context right away. And then the action plan is kind of like the long-term plan of how like what's the long-term aim to do this shift. Okay. Yeah, and now talking about a shift, I'd say we go a bit into the content and talk a little bit about, yeah, like what I said before, why do we actually need a circular economy, and why is it so essential at the moment? And I think the last months have made that even more like prevalent for everyone, but we are really in a big crisis by now, and this crisis is human-made, and we can actually see, like on the left, you can see a graph that shows the carbon dioxide over the last 800,000 years, and you can see that it's at the moment higher than it's ever been in the whole time of measuring carbon dioxide. And these greenhouse gases lead to, yeah, the temperatures rising within our atmosphere. And we can see that also the global temperatures are higher than they've ever been. And that we are already above 1 degree of warming. And if you know the Paris Agreement, the goal is to stay well below 1.5 or 2 degrees of warming. And yeah, this is really important that we are already, I think at the moment we're at 1.2 degrees of warming. And as I said in the beginning, we already know that they are human-made, all of these emissions. So they come from, here you can see the different countries, or I think some of them are countries and some of them are continents. But yeah, you can see who emitted what kind of, but I mean, I always think the funny thing about the atmosphere is it's the one place where humans are really all together. So it doesn't matter whether we emit something here in New Zealand or you emit something in China, it all spreads evenly throughout the atmosphere. And that's something really to look at. And the other thing is that we can also see that a lot of the greenhouse gas emissions are connected to the energy sector and to agriculture and forestry and land use. But the energy becomes really interesting because that's one of the reasons why we need renewable energy, and we need to change the way that we transport things. So we need to look at electronic vehicles. But the other interesting thing is that a lot of the energy can actually be linked to the materials we use and to the products that we buy and sell and use in our everyday life. And this is, I always find this is kind of like a game changer graph to me, because this is from the latest circularity gap report by Circular Economy. And what they did is they took all of the fossil fuels, minerals, ores, biomass, and waste, and looked at these materials and how they emit greenhouse gas emissions. And they connect them to, they basically take them to the whole economy. So they take them from the extraction to the processing to the production of a product, and then to providing this product, so like distribution or using of this product. And then they connect them to what needs do these products fulfill. And the interesting thing that you see is that in the beginning, most of the greenhouse gas emissions are connected to energy. You can see with this, the the little thunderbolts, that's the energy sign. So that's the 70% that we saw in the graph before. But if you go through, as you go through the economy, you can see that most of this energy now is bound in products. So it was used to either build cars, build houses, build streets, but also build, like make products like cups and whatever's on your table right now and the table itself. And that's where the circular economy comes in. That's why suddenly, if all of this energy and all of these emissions are embodied now in products, it becomes really important what we do with these products and whether we waste them quickly or whether we reuse them and have systems of like continuing to use them at the highest level possible. And at the moment, we're not doing that very well. That's also from that the same report. And they kind of do this very easy equation of what materials do we put in, like what amount of materials and what materials do we recycle at the end of the year. And they found that only 8.6% of all of the materials are being recycled. And the rest ends up in different places, but not back in the economy, which of course makes it really important, really like puts a lot of pressure on extracting new materials over and over again, which is really hard on a finite planet. And recycling at the same time is also not really working very well. So we have, we are only recycling like 9% at the moment of all of our plastics that we use in the world. And 6% of these plastics, of all the plastics we've produced were recycled, and only 1.2% are still in use. So that kind of shows you also how the recycling, this idea of plastic recycling, and plastic is actually a material that is very recyclable in the law, in the lab. But yeah, it shows you how like this idea of endless recycling doesn't really hold true for what we've seen so far. But it leads to things like this. So this is one of the largest landfills in the world. And when these landfills start to burn, they emit a lot of greenhouse gases as well. They emit greenhouse gases while they sit there and just release methane, which they are responsible for about 12% of the global methane emissions. But they also release all of these toxins and stuff when they start burning, and it's really hard to put them out when they start burning. But even like landfills aside, in the US alone, you have like 1 to 1.2 million tons of plastic waste which go astray every year. So that means they don't even end up in landfills. And plastic pollution is now found on really, like, yeah, on the Mount Everest, maybe because of all of these hikers there, but also in the deep sea. And you can find it in, and even in animals that live really, really low in the deep sea. And through these animals and all of this, it eventually also ends up in the human bodies. And it's just, we don't know exactly what the effect of that is going to be. But as I said, we're also using more and more virgin materials. So at the moment, we're consuming over 100 billion tons of materials in the world. And that's the first time in 2021 that we reuse this much. And that means that by this year, we use more than 1.17 planets. So we would need 1.1 planet Earths to actually, 1.7 planet Earths to actually have enough materials to fulfill all of our material needs at the moment. And that's where the circular economy comes in. So the circular economy is basically this idea that on this way from source to refining to production to selling and using, and then to incinerating or landfilling our materials, we reuse those. And it's a very old idea. I always say like the circular economy is, I don't think there's anything new about the circular economy. It's just kind of a new name for old ideas, and it's formalizing something that before was a little bit informal. So, and there are different ways. So we can use the biocycle for organic materials. We can recycle technical materials. We can remanufacture things, so keep them at a high standard even after their use, and basically make them like as if they were new. Or we can build things to reuse them and maintain them. And that has a lot of potential. So there's all of these very nice calculations already that in the US, for example, that we could globally save $7 billion annually in material costs. And that's just in the fast-moving consumer goods industry. And that's 20% of the total material input costs at the moment. So if you look at the graph left, like that's all of the packaged foods, apparels, beverages, and beauty and care products and all of this stuff. And we could even save 520 billion tons, billion US dollars per year in the medium-lived complex product industry. So, and that's at the EU level alone. So that's for like cars and all of this stuff. We could save a lot of money by just reusing the materials and reusing the parts and making sure that we kind of, don't always have to start from new. But also we could save a lot of money. So at the moment, some like conventional agriculture, I'm sure Will knows a lot more about this than I do. But at the moment, a lot of the agriculture leads to soil degradation, and we could reduce a lot of costs by returning nutrients to the soil and making sure that that the soil is like in good condition to actually not need so much fertilizer and grow more food. And last, we could reduce our footprint heavily through this. So even just doubling the amount that we circulate back into the economy would have a really big impact. We could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 39%. Are we back on?
Sorry about that. I was trying to click the chat button and respond to Will.
Okay.
Back on.
Yeah, so that could have a really big impact on the greenhouse gas emissions. And it could cut global virgin resource use by 28%. So there's a lot of potential to actually achieve our Paris Agreement goals through the circular economy. And they always say that around 55% of the Paris Agreement goals we could reach through like changing the transport to electronic vehicles and changing the way that we produce energy. But 45% is definitely connected to the products. So yeah, we really need to change the way that we produce things. And yeah, so in our class, we'll go through all of this and go through basically show ways of how to do this. And I will just take you through the classes quickly and kind of to give you an overview of how we structured this.
Yeah, yeah, we'll go through kind of high level each class actually. So it's a 6-week program. We have 8 classes. So for some weeks, there's going to be 2 classes that are released. We have 6 overall guest talks and then 2 workshops and a lot of case studies. In terms of the 8 classes, what we'll cover, what is the circular economy? So just kind of getting a foundation, why systems thinking is important, and you'll learn how to kind of navigate complex challenges. Class 3 is how to create circular products. Class 4 is how to develop a circular business model. And class 5, which is released that same week, is going to be focused on how to finance the circular economy. Class 6, we're going to discuss policy and regulations and how that can help enable the circular economy. Class 7, how to measure the circular economy or circularity. So we can do all this, but if we can't measure it, we don't know how impactful it is. And then finally, Class 8, which will be the end, is how to implement circularity into your work and personal life. So yeah, week 1, high level. So again, we'll discuss what is circular economy, where it comes from, why it's so important. Our guest talk this week is Michelle Tulloch. She runs local and global programs for the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which is one of the kind of premier foundations 100% dedicated to circular economy. It should be really good time to kind of get a foundation from somebody who knows the space better than anybody. Go ahead.
Exactly. Sorry about that. Yeah, the second week is the week about systems thinking, and why we do this is because a lot of things within the circular economy. So it's an economy, right? And a lot of things within the circular economy are very connected and very hard to manage, and sometimes it feels like almost impossible to set up, let's say, a circular product or a circular company. Or even just a circular like stream within your company, because there are so many other parties that you rely on, or things are just really connected. And the systems thinking approach is an approach that actually helps to understand and map and communicate this really well. So we got Morgan Williams from an amazing systems thinking design studio in Melbourne, who will teach us one of their methods that they use for systems thinking in a workshop. So it's a live workshop that everyone will do together, and we will basically cover the rudimental ideas of systems thinking, and also offer you some of the frameworks and tools that they use that are actually pretty straightforward to use, even if you're not from the space, and we find them really helpful. So that's why we included that. And then the week 3 is we are talking about how we design circular products, and that is, we understand design as something very very basic. So everyone who does something with intent or creates something with intent is a designer in our perspective. And we talk about products as a great example, because they are at the core of the economy for a lot of stuff. So it's really important, how do we create products that are prepared for an economy that doesn't yet quite exist, like it's not the prevalent economic model, but is gaining a lot of traction at the moment. But how can we kind of like design products that are ready for that economy, but still exist within our current economy as well? And we'll have a great workshop there with a fantastic service designer, Elise Motelli, who's gonna give us like a great insight into how to design from a product to a circular service, how to go about that.
Good. And then week 4 is that's that 2-part week where we'll cover circular business models as well as financing the circular economy. The first part of that week, we're going to be joined by Gene Hamicki. I always mispronounce it. He's the founder and CEO of a company called MyTurn, which is a software platform that allows for sharing and reuse of different products. And he's going to be giving a talk, similar talk to I've actually seen him do before, which is really good, where he's going to be talking about how to develop and design a circular business. And he has a really inspirational story in general. He kind of bootstrapped the entire thing, didn't take outside funding, and has seen a lot of success. So he's kind of got a very practical and unique point of view on the topic. And then the second half of week 4, sorry, is going to be about financing the circular economy. So this week we're setting up a panel where we'll have both people from kind of the operator entrepreneurial community as well as the investment community to discuss how to finance the circular economy. So they'll be just discussing, if you're a business owner or a startup person, how to raise money, but also if you want to invest in the space, like where you can invest and how to kind of look at it. The people we have so far for that panel are great. We've got Simran Suri, who's at Equal Ventures, focuses on retail and supply chain and circularity. Elias Stahl, who's the founder of Helos, which is a circular economy shoe company, and Gar Punit, who is chief of staff for Reaply, which is a circular asset management startup that's thriving in the circular economy space.
Yeah, and then in week 5, we will be talking about enabling and measuring circularity. And that is, one class is about the policies. And there we have a great guest talk by Sydney Harris from the Product Stewardship Institute, who are one of the dominant drivers of policies for the circular economy and for more recycling rates in the US. And yeah, we will focus on what are extended producer responsibility policies, what are the policies that helped places like Amsterdam and other places that are already more circular than other parts of the world to get there. And then also, like, how do they and how can we measure circularity within a city, but also within a company, but also within, yeah, probably like also your personal life if you want to. And then the last week is mainly focused on presenting your economic your action plan and your toolkit. And it's mainly, you'll be working a lot on that, and you'll be presenting that to the cohort. But it's also, we also still have a class about what the, like how do you now implement this into your personal life, but also into your work life. And there we have a great guest talk by Oakley Jennings Fast, who has a fantastic podcast. It's called What the Hell Do I Do With This? And yeah, she's writing a book on the same content, and she's just an expert on how to implement circularity principles into your life. Yeah, and I think that's it from us for now. If you now, I'd say, like, ask away if you have any questions. We're happy to discuss the content. We're happy to answer questions about the course. And also, if you want to schedule a call with us to discuss things more one-on-one, we are also available for that. You can see our email addresses here, but you can also go to our website and you'll find more information and also our contacts there.
Giannis, do you want to mention the discount?
Oh yeah, that's true. And there's, for everyone who came today and who signed up for today, there's a 25% discount for the course. So what's the discount code again, Austin?
I actually don't think we'll have it. We don't have it yet. We'll send it in the follow-up email.
Okay, we'll send it.
Just looking for it.
We'll send you a discount code, and yeah, we're really stoked to see some of you there, hopefully in September.
Any questions you have for us? You can do them in the chat, or we already have one. We'll just go front. What time are the live courses, if that has been determined yet? Giannis, I think the majority of them are going to be, is it 11 a.m. Eastern? There are a few, like the workshops, that are going to be outside of that time frame. In terms of the live guest talks.
Yeah, so we yeah, we have live guest talks, which are at 11 Eastern. But so as I said, for example, Morgan is in Melbourne in Australia. So we'll kind of, I think 11 a.m. was at the middle of the night for him. So we'll push that workshop a little bit, but we'll also see that we can make it work for everyone who signed up, because we'll have different time zones. But I'm in communications with him about this. But everything else 11 a.m. Eastern time.
And just to clarify, so like the actual learning modules are kind of learn at your own pace. You can go through those at any time. It's the guest talks that are live, but all guest talks are going to be recorded and shared with people if they missed it. So you'll, even if you miss it, we'll have access to it.
Yes.
All right, we got another question in here from my, curious if this course is for beginners or for people who are already in the circular economy space, and how does the course prepare one for real jobs after, if interested in getting into the space? Jonas, you want to take that?
Sure. So the course is for people who already kind of know what the circular economy is about. But we do have the first class, which covers the basics as well. So we're not covering too much, we're not dealing too much with the very basics of the circular economy, because there are so many resources for this out there already. And we are really focused on trying to help you in your professional context to get to a point where you can actually start working with this. So we have the basics in the first class, but then we move on pretty quickly to more of the high level stuff. And the course, so I'm having a bit of a hard time to answer the question about the real job, because it depends, I guess, on your state, like what your role at the moment is, and what your position. I don't know if you're a student at the moment or yeah. So it depends on, I guess, where you are at the moment, whether if the course prepares you for a job. I think that we prepare you to apply the circular economy to your current job, and you get a certificate, and you get if you do all of the things in our course, if you do the assignments, you'll get a certificate, and you'll be able to show that to future employers. And you'll have just a lot of tools and knowledge to work on circularity within your context, but it's a bit hard to talk from like a very unknowing perspective. But I'm also very happy to jump on a call with you and discuss your actual position at the moment, and see if you'll get what you want out of this course. Does that make sense? Cool. Yeah, email me. I'm happy to jump on a call.
Just taking a couple notes. Anyone else have any additional questions about the course, or about where Jonas is taking this call from right now? He's in the middle of moving from New Zealand back to Berlin, and he's got a very unique office space.
I do. I will spare you the details. Yeah, and I just read Will's, the project drawdown. Yeah, a lot of them have to do with the food and agriculture space. That's true, but there's a lot of potential for circularity principles within the food and agriculture space. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of overlap actually from that. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Linda.
we're looking forward to spending more time with you too, Linda. Cool. I guess if there are no other questions, then we can close this a little bit early. And
yep.
Yeah, like let us know if you want to jump on a call, or yeah, you'll get an email with the sign up code and stuff like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all for joining, and we're really excited to kick this course off here in a couple of weeks. Like Yana said, if you have any questions, send us an email. Our emails are on the screen. We will follow up with the discount code as well as a link to this recording in case you didn't get part of it or you want to share it with someone else.
Cool. Awesome. See you then. See you in September.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.